We live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. India continues its strong pitch at World Economic Forum in Davos. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw says Bharat is building a complete semiconductor ecosystem. India reiterates its stand on zero tolerance against terrorism in a meeting between External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar with his visiting Spaniard counterpart Alvarez. US President Trump says US and NATO will reach agreement on Greenland's future. No going back on control, won't rule out force. European Parliament freezes approval of US trade deal following Trump's tariff stance over Greenland. Australian Parliament passes gun reforms and anti-hate bills following Bondi shooting that killed 15 people. And in sports, the India-New Zealand rivalry shifts to the shortest format as the Men in Blue face the Black Caps in the first of the 5 T20 internationals in Nagpur today. And on to the details now. As global leaders attending the Davos 2026, the World Economic Forum plays a key role in shaping India's economic vision, with discussions on investment, trade, AI, MSMEs, climate finance, and India's growing influence in global decision-making. On day 3 of the forum, several union ministers and state leaders will be attending special sessions related to the key sectors as India continues its strong pitch at Davos 2026. Maharashtra and Jharkhand bagged investments. Well, speaking at the World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos, India's Minister for Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnaw, has said that India is working at all levels of chip manufacturing and aims to become the world's largest supplier of services. The minister also acknowledged India's AI revolution, calling it Industry 5.0.
There are 5 layers in the AI architecture: the application layer, the model layer, the chip layer, the infra layer, and the energy layer. We are working on all the 5 layers, making very good progress in all the 5 layers. On the application layer, we will probably be the biggest supplier of services to the world. Go to an enterprise, understand the business of enterprise, understand the working of that enterprise, and provide that service using AI applications. That's going to be the biggest factor of success or successful deployment of AI, because that's where ROI comes from. ROI doesn't come from creating a very large model. 95% of the work can happen with models which are 20 billion or 50 billion parameters. We are creating a bouquet of such models. We already have a bouquet of such models which are now being deployed in multiple sectors to increase the productivity, to increase the efficiency, to increase the effective use of technology.
Well, India has already secured new investment commitments from Cisco and Hitachi, advanced talks on a historic EU trade deal, and showcased its largest ever delegation to position itself as the fastest growing large economy and a premier investment destination at Davos 2026. More on this report on India's presence at Davos.
At Davos 2026, the world gathers to shape the future of business, innovation, and global cooperation. And this year, India stands tall as a commanding presence. Union Ministers Ashwini Vaishnaw, Prahlad Joshi, and K. Ram Mohan Naidu join Chief Ministers like Devendra Fadnavis, N. Chandrababu Naidu, Hemanta Biswa Sarma, and others to showcase India's economic strength and vision. The India Pavilion reflects the nation's dynamism, creativity, and unstoppable momentum. From cutting-edge technology to sustainable solutions, from world-class infrastructure to thriving startups, India embodies the spirit of a nation on the rise.
energy itself, that is the green energy and resilient infrastructure, we need more than $350 billion. And there is a return is assured. So, you know, the total NPA is the lowest today. 10, 11 years back, NPA was the highest in the world. Today, lowest 2.1%. So we are managing in every sector well. And that's why Prime Minister is telling to all us, perform, transform, and also not only performing, not only transforming, we should inform. We should inform to the world so that every person who is in Davos, he should feel that he should come here and see the India's growth.
India today is the fastest growing large economy in the world, with a young, skilled workforce, bold reforms, and a digital first mindset. It offers unmatched opportunities for investors seeking growth and resilience. Opportunities lie also in India's northeast, with the largest state there boasting of a rapid growth potential.
We are growing at almost 13% in last 5 years, and hopefully for the next year our projection is that will be grown by 15%. So that is the growth trajectory of Assam, thanks to the bold leadership of Prime Minister. We are necessarily strong in hydrocarbon, but we are also doing good in green energy.
At Davos, leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators from across the globe are discovering why India is not just a market, but a partner in shaping the future. India is being seen as a gateway to possibilities where tradition meets transformation and ambition meets achievement.
Right after Davos, the next weekend, I will travel to India. There's still work to do, but we are on the cusp of a historic trade agreement. Indeed, some call it the mother of all deals. One that would create a market of 2 billion people, accounting for almost a quarter of global GDP.
India's presence at Davos is also powered by the presence of business leaders such as Mukesh Ambani and more than 100 CEOs from banking, technology, renewable energy, and startups.
We also want to be a Vishwabandhu, a partner with the whole world and all the countries and all the people. And we saw this spirit clearly today during the COVID-19 also, when we were transporting vaccines, medicines, and providing all the help to different countries who were in need at that time. And that is our values of democracy, sustainability, inclusiveness, collaboration for the greater good of the planet that continues to guide us.
Together, they represent the unstoppable momentum of the fastest growing large economy in the world. At Davos, global leaders are discovering why investing in India means investing in resilience, growth, and opportunity. Bureau Report, DD India.
And for more on this, DD India's Akhilesh Suman joins us for more. Well, Akhilesh, India is of course projecting itself as a global hub for semiconductors, AI and advanced manufacturing at Davos this year. Huge investment announcements happening, a lot is expected. How do you see India's economic vision shaping up?
Actually, it's actually World Economic Forum is a platform that provides economies like India to project itself, what it has gained period of time. This is the largest delegation ever that has gone from India to Davos. And you know that there are 6 chief ministers, 15 states, and 6 cabinet ministers are present there. So you can understand that how India wants to project its economy, its resilience, its financial structure, its transparent market, and also it's a robust democratic, vibrant democratic culture. And that gives, that investors from all over the world that to come and invest in India, seek a marketplace that can be secure, and they can make in India and they can make for the world. So I think what either Mr. Naidu is telling or Mr. Ashwini Vaishnaw is telling, everything is revolving around the fact that in this world of some sort of chaos in international relations, rules-based order, India remains a stable place where investors can come with predictability, and I think that that is why Prime Minister has sent 4 cabinet ministers to be present and 10,000 square feet Indian pavilion where people from delegations from all over the world can come and visit that what India has gained. And one of the major achievements that India has to showcase in the field of digital public infrastructure that one can buy and one can sell without going into hard cash transactions, and that gives India a major boost. Not to only sell and purchase inside the country, but also from outside the country. When borders becomes very very easy to transact. So I think in that way India is utilizing this opportunity when whole world is thinking about how to forge relationships. And you have heard that how Ursula von der Leyen was telling that mother of all trade deals. In that way, that biggest trade deal ever, she's telling that 2 billion people will be benefited from this, Indian population and the European Union population. So I think that it is a lesson. It is also an example for all over the world that how democracies can transact business among themselves. And when there is a democracy, there is predictability, there is understanding. When you can tell whatever you feel about, and you can also seek that however players are there in one particular country. So this gives a major opportunity for investors and the governments all over the world.
Absolutely. Also, Akhilesh, with Donald Trump set to address Davos today amid global economic uncertainty and his Greenland rhetoric, what can be expected out there? Can we expect something to reshape global trade or political dynamics out there?
Actually, Lipakshi, Donald Trump is have spent 1 year in his power as the President of the United States of America. And what we have heard in United Nations speech last year, it was, in a way that he is speaking to his own domestic constituency about MAGA, Make America Great Again. So it is all America-centric. United States is not speaking, Donald Trump is not speaking as he is a leader of the world. He is speaking as if he is a leader of his own country, and every relationship he will gauge from his own point of view. And in that way, before coming to Davos, he has made a statement. He has reply to a question that it will be mainly one of the major themes that it will be Greenland, because he said that there will be a lot of meeting about Greenland. So Greenland is his focus when he is coming to Europe. That you can understand that he is on Greenland now. He was on tariff earlier, he's on Greenland now. So in that way, we cannot expect anything, that he goes to Davos for cooperation in economic field. Rather, he is going with his own agenda about Greenland, about, also about trade terms in unilateral way. In that way, we should not expect something very positive about it. He is coming for his own agenda in Davos, Lipakshi.
All right. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all that information. That was our correspondent, Akhilesh Suman, who was telling us about how India is projecting itself so strongly at the World Economic Forum, and India is on the go. And still to come on DD India Newshour. Trump to skip proposed G7 emergency meet on Ukraine, questions Macron's political future. In a mass transfer, Mexico sends alleged criminals to US amid drug trafficking tensions. And gunmen killed at least 31 in Niger's Telaberi region, Sahel's deadliest zone.
Embark on a timeless journey. Unravel the mysteries of a grandiose era. A treasure trove of royal and sacred complexes, temples, shrines, pillared halls, mandapas, rock-cut memorials and more. A spectacular setting of rugged landscape and exemplary workmanship, representing the best of Dravidian architecture. Every structure carved out as a unique artistic creation. A heritage landmark that reflects pure magnificence, integrated within its natural environment. An unexplored haven for nature and adventure enthusiasts. An imposing heritage reflected in its street bazaars and annual festivals of music and culture. Come, be mesmerized by the glorious capital of the Vijayanagar Empire.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and moving on. Syria announced a ceasefire with Kurdish forces in the northeast on Tuesday and gave them 4 days to negotiate reintegration into the central government, which their main ally, the United States, urged them to accept. Now, the Syrian Democratic Forces said it accepted a ceasefire agreement with the Damascus government and that it would not engage in any military action unless attacked. Now, the government declared a 4-day ceasefire from Tuesday evening and requested the SDF to nominate a candidate for assistant to the defense minister in Damascus as part of integration. Also, the SDF said it was committed to the truce and ready to move forward with implementing Sunday's agreement. While US President Trump expressed support for Syrian President al-Shara and said the US was trying to protect the Kurds.
I like the Kurds, but just so you understand, the Kurds were paid tremendous amounts of money, were given oil and other things, so they were doing it for themselves, more so than they were doing it for us. But we got along with the Kurds, and we are trying to protect the Kurds. That's good.
Well, the recent Syrian government advances, coupled with the US pulling support from the Syrian Democratic Forces, mark the largest shift in control since Assad was ousted 13 months ago. US envoy Tom Bharat called Syria's integration offer the Kurds' greatest opportunity. Tensions between the SDF and Damascus escalated into conflict this month over the SDF's fighters and territory as the group resisted government demands to merge into the defense ministry. And ahead of a trip to Davos to participate in the World Economic Forum, US President Donald Trump said he would hold several meetings to address his intention to take control of Greenland. Well, on Tuesday, he said there was no going back on his goal to control Greenland, refusing to rule out taking the Arctic island by force and lashing out at NATO allies as well.
We have a lot of meetings scheduled on Greenland, and I think things are going to work out pretty well. I think that we will work something out where NATO is going to be very happy and where we're going to be very happy. But we need it for security purposes. We need it for national security and even world security.
Well, after speaking with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Trump said in a Truth Social post that Greenland was imperative for national and world security and there could be no going back. He added that everyone agreed on that. Also, Trump's bid to claim sovereignty over Greenland from Denmark has raised concerns about straining NATO and sparking a renewed trade conflict with Europe as well. And amid escalating tensions with the US, the European Parliament will soon announce the suspension of the approval of the US trade deal agreed in July last year. Earlier, the EU lawmakers have agreed to hold off ratifying a key trade deal with the United States following President Donald Trump's tariff stance over Greenland. The European Parliament is expected to formally suspend on Wednesday its work on the trade deal struck with the US last summer in protest over Trump's warning. Well, Trump has warned to 8 EU nations, including France and Germany, with tariffs for not going along with his demand to get Greenland. Washington claims Greenland's strategic location and mineral resources are vital to its security, but the leadership in Denmark and Greenland have rejected the idea, emphasizing their right to self-determination. Also, trade tensions between the US and Europe have eased since the two sides struck a deal in Scotland in July last year. That agreement set US levies on most European goods at 15%. In exchange, Europe had agreed to invest in the US and make changes on the continent expected to boost US exports. The deal still needs approval from the European Parliament to become official. Well, US President Donald Trump on Tuesday said he would not attend an emergency meeting of G7 nations proposed by French President Emmanuel Macron to discuss the Ukraine conflict. Speaking at a White House press briefing marking 1 year into his second term, Trump said he would not attend the meeting, suggesting Macron's political future was uncertain.
Still go to Paris for the G7 emergency meeting as offered by President Macron?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Well, also, US President Donald Trump on Tuesday said that Washington is holding discussions with Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado about a potential role in Venezuela. Speaking to reporters, Trump said his stance on Venezuela had shifted, praising what he described as improved cooperation and commending Machado's leadership. He said talks were ongoing on how she might be involved and added that he would welcome such an outcome. Trump dismissed the idea of speaking with Maduro and said his lawyers would oppose it, particularly in connection with allegations of interference in the 2020 US election. He also claimed his administration had removed 50 million barrels of Venezuelan oil and sold part of it to help lower global oil prices.
I felt so strongly against Venezuela. Now I'm loving Venezuela. They've been working with us so well. It's been so nice. And an unbelievably nice woman also did a very incredible thing, as you know, a few days ago. We're talking to her, and maybe we can get her involved in some way. I'd love to be able to do that. Maria, maybe we can do that. But we're dealing with the people and the president and all of the people in Venezuela, and we've been doing great. The oil companies are getting ready to make massive investments there.
Meanwhile, the US military said on Tuesday it had seized a tanker linked to Venezuela in the Caribbean, the 7th such action since President Donald Trump launched a month-long effort to control Venezuela's oil exports. US Southern Command said the motor vessel Sagittarius was apprehended without incident and released a video of the operation. Now, the command said the move underscored Washington's determination to enforce a quarantine on sanctioned vessels and ensure Venezuelan oil is exported only through the approved channels. Now, Trump has made Venezuela a central focus of his Latin American policy and has said the U.S. intends to oversee the country's oil resources while pursuing a long-term plan to revive its struggling energy sector. And in a new mass transfer, Mexico sent 37 alleged members of criminal organizations to the United States as part of the crime-fighting cooperation between the two countries. The Mexican Secretary of Security said the alleged criminals posed a threat to national security, adding that with this transfer, a total of 92 alleged criminals have been sent to the U.S. during the current administration. This new mass transfer of alleged criminals took place amid tensions with the U.S. over combating drug trafficking. In fact, last week, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum and U.S. President Donald Trump had a phone call to rule out any U.S. military intervention in the Latin American nation. Also, this is the third time Mexico has transferred alleged criminals to face charges in the U.S. during Sheinbaum's term. The first was in February 2025 with 29, and the second transfer was in August with 26. Well, the Australian lawmakers on Tuesday have passed tougher laws against hate crime and gun violence in response to last month's mass shooting at a Jewish festival at Sydney's Bondi Beach. The gun control laws passed with the support of the Greens party despite opposition from the opposition Conservative Liberal National Coalition, with a vote of 96 to 45 in the lower house and 38 to 26 in the Senate. While the second bill steps up penalties for hate crimes such as jail terms up to 12 years when a religious official or preacher is involved, and allows bans on groups deemed to spread hate. Now, the bill, which also provides new powers to cancel or refuse visas for those who spread hate, passed the lower house by a 116 to 7 margin and the Senate 38 to 22. Earlier, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese recalled Parliament from its summer break for this week's special two-day session to toughen curbs after the shooting shocked the nation and prompted calls for more action on gun control and anti-Semitism as well. And in Niger, gunmen attacked a village in western region near the borders with Burkina Faso and Mali over the weekend, leaving at least 31 people dead. The attack took place on Sunday in a village lying in the Tillabéri region, located in the tri-border area, a flashpoint zone where the frontiers of Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali converge. No group has claimed the responsibility so far. Tillabéri became the deadliest region across central Sahel in 2025 with more than 1,200 deaths, most of them of civilians. Several terrorist groups that target both civilians and the military operate in Niger, including an Islamic State group affiliate. All right, and a big news coming in from Japan right now. A Japanese court sentenced former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's killer to life in prison on Wednesday. The court charged Tetsuya Yamagami with killing the former Prime Minister with a homemade gun during the influential politician's campaign rally in Nara in July 2022. Now the judgment came more than 3 years after the broad daylight assassination of ex-Japanese Prime Minister, which shocked the world. All right, so big news coming in from Japan right now. A Japanese court sentenced former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's killer to life in prison on Wednesday, and the court charged Tetsuya Yamagami with killing the former Prime Minister with a homemade gun during the influential politician's campaign rally in Nara in July 2022. In fact, a guilty verdict was all but certain after Yamagami admitted to killing Abe in the first court hearing at the Nara District Court in October, and attention had been on the severity of the sentence. Now, the former Prime Minister, in fact, was a huge figure in public life in Japan, where there is virtually no gun crime, and the country was left stunned by his assassination, and so was the world. So the big news coming in from Japan right now, that the Japanese court have sentenced former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's killer to life in prison today. And moving on, in Spain, one person died and 4 were seriously injured after a train near Barcelona ploughed into the rubble of a collapsed wall on Tuesday. The incident occurred as heavy storms battered northeastern Spain, as coastal areas in the east and northwest of Spain are on high alert because of the weather. Now, the emergency workers used torches in the dark to survey the wreckage of the derailed train carriage, which had turned into a mass of crumpled metal. Well, it is the second deadly rail accident in days. Two high-speed trains collided in the southern region of Andalusia on Sunday. It killed 42 people and injured more than 120. All high-speed services between Madrid and the southern cities of Malaga, Cordoba, Sevilla and Huelva have been suspended until Friday. Also, Spain's King and Queen visited the site where two high-speed trains collided at the weekend, met emergency services workers near the spot where the mangled wreckage of the two trains, which had been carrying more than 500 passengers, laid. Well, the royals also visited the hospital in the nearby city of Cordoba, where some of the injured are being treated. And in a victory for thousands of women suing Johnson & Johnson over claims that the company's baby powder and other talc products cause their ovarian cancer, a federal judge ruled that they will be allowed to present testimony at trial from experts who support that link. Now, the ruling from an outside judge serving as a special master in the long-running litigation, which includes more than 67,500 lawsuits that have been consolidated in federal court in New Jersey, will allow the cases to move towards the first trial in federal court, potentially later this year. Johnson & Johnson, which has been fighting claims over its talc products in both federal and state court for years, has said its products are safe and do not cause cancer. Johnson & Johnson stopped selling talc-based baby powder in the US in 2020 and switched to a cornstarch product. Also, Johnson & Johnson had sought to resolve the litigation through bankruptcy, a tactic that was rejected 3 times by federal courts, most recently in April 2025. The bankruptcies had put most of the talc product cases on hold for years. And still to come in DD India Newshour. Manipur, Tripura and Meghalaya celebrate Statehood Day today. Republic Day 2026 rehearsals underway in Delhi. Hypersonic missile makes debut. And we'll get you updates on the weather from India and around the world. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepakshi Khurana and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. India continues its strong pitch at World Economic Forum in Davos. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw says Bharat is building a complete semiconductor ecosystem. India reiterates its stand on zero tolerance against terrorism in a meeting between External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar with his visiting Spaniard counterpart Alvarez. US President Trump says US and NATO will reach agreement on Greenland's future. No going back on control, won't rule out force. European Parliament freezes approval of US trade deal following Trump's tariff stance over Greenland. Australian Parliament passes gun reform and anti-hate bills following Bondi shooting that killed 15 people. And in sports, the India-New Zealand rivalry shifts to the shortest format as the men in blue face the Black Caps in the first of the 5 T20 internationals in Nagpur today. And moving on, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar held meeting with Spain's Minister of Foreign Affairs, European Union and Cooperation, Jose Manuel Alvarez in Delhi. In the opening remark, Dr. S. Shankar lauded India's and Spain's friendly relations rooted in shared democratic values and respect for multilateralism and the rule-based order.
India and Spain enjoy warm and friendly relations rooted in shared democratic values and respect for multilateralism and a rule-based order. Our political engagement has grown steadily, marked by regular high-level exchanges. India and Spain will celebrate in 2026, this year, the 70th anniversary of the establishment of our diplomatic relations, as well as the dual year of culture, tourism, and artificial intelligence. This initiative reflects our shared commitment to combining our rich cultural heritage with future-oriented cooperation.
Well, Dr. S. Shankar also reiterated India's stand on zero tolerance against terrorism, underscoring that this stance is especially significant in the global fight against a scourge that has affected both India and Spain.
The world order is clearly undergoing a profound change. It is more imperative than ever before for nations to collaborate on shared challenges. This is particularly the case with respect to combating terrorism, where both India and Spain have been victims. The world must display zero tolerance towards terrorism.
While speaking on the economic partnership, Dr. S. Shankar highlighted Spain as an important pillar of India's bilateral relations. He noted that Spain is among India's key trade partners within the European Union, with bilateral trade in goods surpassing $8 billion in recent years.
Economic partnership is an important pillar of our relationship. Spain is among India's important trade partners in the EU, and our bilateral trade in goods has crossed $8 billion in recent years. Spanish companies have a significant presence in India, particularly in infrastructure, renewable energy, urban mobility, engineering, water management, and smart cities.
Well, the Northeast Indian states of Manipur, Tripura and Meghalaya are celebrating their Statehood Day on Wednesday. President Draupadi Murmu has extended warm greetings to people of these three Northeast states on their Statehood Day. In a post on X, President Murmu said, and I quote, "Warm greetings to the people of Meghalaya, Tripura and Manipur on their Statehood Day. These states are blessed with rich cultural legacy, vibrant traditions and extraordinary natural beauty. Their enterprising and talented people have made remarkable contributions to the nation's progress. I wish their residents a future filled with peace and prosperity," unquote. Also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted people of Manipur, Tripura and Meghalaya on their Statehood Day, expressing pride about the role played by the people of Manipur towards India's development. Prime Minister Modi said in a social media post, and I quote, "People from Manipur are enriching the progress of India. The state's passion towards sports, culture and nature is noteworthy. May the state continue to move forward on the path of development in the times to come." Conveying heartfelt greetings on Meghalaya's Statehood Day, Prime Minister Modi stated that the people of Meghalaya have made strong contributions to the development of our nation, noting that Meghalaya is admired for its natural beauty and the industrious nature of its people. Prime Minister wished that Meghalaya may keep scaling new heights of development in the future. Also extending greetings on Tripura's Statehood Day, Prime Minister Modi said Tripura's journey is marked by a remarkable blend of tradition and modernity. He added the northeastern states has witnessed pioneering transformations in diverse fields and its people are adding momentum to India's growth trajectory. And moving on, Republic Day parade rehearsals are ongoing in the national capital. Along with marching contingents, India's defense strength will also be on display. Indian Army contingents took part in the Republic Day 2026 rehearsal parade at Kartavya Path. A major highlight was the debut of the long-range anti-ship hypersonic glide missile during the rehearsal. Meanwhile, due to the movement of troops and equipment, traffic restrictions remain in place in central Delhi. Authorities have advised commuters to follow advisories and use alternate routes and have urged the public to cooperate for smooth Republic Day preparations. Well, the Republic Day parade showcases India's cultural diversity and military strength. Since 2014, the parade floats have seen major changes in design, technology and themes. Floats now blend tradition with modernity using digital displays, advanced lighting and eco-friendly materials like bamboo and recycled wood. Selection focuses on creativity, message clarity and innovation, with expert committees from art, culture and architecture fields guiding the process. In 2025, under the theme Golden India, Heritage and Development, 16 states, 10 central ministries and 3 armed forces presented visually stunning and thematic floats. This year, the 2026 parade will celebrate the spirit of the nation with the theme Vande Mataram. And from the 5th century sailing ship to modern-day maritime power, the Indian Navy is all set to showcase its prowess on the Kartavya Path on this Republic Day of India on the 26th of January. Indian Navy officers from the Warship Design Bureau have designed a tableau themed Strong Navy for a Strong Nation, showcasing India's maritime heritage from ancient stitched ships like the INSV Kaundinya to modern indigenous assets INS Vikrant, Project 17A frigates, Kalvari's class submarine and women's empowerment Navika Sagar Parikrama 2 route, highlighting self-reliance and technological advancement. DD India correspondent Vishal Baristow finds out more on this.
This is the Navy tableau from J to Vijay. What is J? I have with me Zubair Siddiqui, he is the commander and who has designed this tableau, as the Prime Minister says, jointness.
Jointness, Atmanirbharta and indigenization. This is the entire tableau design and based on PM's vision of Samudra Utkarshta and women empowerment and also Jai Se Vijay. Over here we have depicted the jointness of the armed forces, how we are becoming Atmanirbhar, and through indigenous and all-out efforts of the Indian industry, how we have become a mighty power of the Indian Navy in the maritime domain of the Indian Ocean region. Over here we have depicted the old age stitched ship INSV Kaundinya, then the Maratha, the Gurab, a very potent platform from the Maratha Navy, moving on to the 100 and 101st indigenous ship by the Indian Navy, that is INS Himgiri and INS Udaygiri, and the very potent INS Vikrant with its aviation component over here. We are also depicting the 2 lady officers, Lieutenant Commander Dilna, Lieutenant Commander Rupa, who went circumnavigation on the boat INSV Tarani, and also not to forget the very potent silent deep submarine, the deep killer INS Kalvari submarine, showing with the missile launch TLAM. So overall, if you see, and of course we are forgetting that the satellite communication, the Drishti UAV. So you know the future lies in the technologically advanced UAVs, unmanned, unarmed, drones, remote controlled, and also the potent helicopter platforms ahead.
Lieutenant Lakshmi is spoken about the women empowerment. So apart from women empowerment, what all challenges did you face when you thought that you are going to design this tableau for the Republic Day?
Basically, apart from that, if you see, it is a amalgamation of all the ideas. So I have to mix all the ideas into one single platform. So it is just, we had space constraints and we had to finalize which all things we need to put in and what we try to say. And the idea of tableau is we are showcasing the world that what we are capable of. So for that, I have only few options, few models and a small globe and we have to keep. So I think the effort that we have made in keeping these models, I've used Photoshop and 3D Max for this, for finalizing the dimensions and all. That's all. It was challenging, but it was very proud also for doing this.
Well, the Bhairav contingent is a newly raised high-tech combat unit of the Indian Army designed to bridge the operational gap between regular infantry units and the elite para-special forces. Now, the contingent makes its maiden entry on the Kartavya Path this Republic Day. DD India's correspondent Vishal Baristow finds out more.
Time on the Kartavya Path, we have the Bhairav contingent, and I have with me the contingent commander. As you can see, their all faces are masked. Why so?
Faces have been masked generally to disclose our identity. We don't want that our people, they should be seen in public form. Only for that purpose, for security reason, all the faces are masked.
How hard have you prepared for this day and what kind of excitement is there?
Excitement is up to its peak, And if you ask me how hard it has been trained, that we have given our blood and sweat both to do this, I would say, to live up to the expectations of this opportunity to march on Kartavya Path. You need to give your sweat and blood both, and we have given it, and we are fully prepared for it.
We had already a commando force, but you have exceeded that limit. So in what way the lean and mean machine is going to be very, very special for the armed forces?
Actually, this raising of Bhairav battalion, it is in this modern warfare, it has been raised to breach the gap, and it has been made specifically to impart that specific and high intensity impact onto the enemy in a very shorter time frame. That is the main motive for this, and we have been trained well and equipped well that this can be imparted onto our enemy.
So there you hear from the contingent commandant, they are all ready to take on the Kartavya Path, and the nation is also waiting for this special contingent because they have been trained and selected in a very specific way. With cameraman Vish Bandhu in Delhi, this is Vishal Baristu for TT India.
And on to some weather updates from around the globe now. First up with India. The Indian Meteorological Department has reported dense fog this morning in parts of North India, affecting visibility and travel. According to the IMD, dense fog is covering Delhi, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Chandigarh and nearby regions this morning, with low visibility reported during early hours. Cold wave conditions are being reported in some areas of Himachal Pradesh, while isolated pockets of Uttarakhand have experienced ground frost today. Meanwhile, minimum temperatures are likely to remain steady in northwest India today, with a gradual rise of 3 to 5 degrees centigrade expected over the next few days. Authorities also urged residents to follow local advisories and stay warm during the day. Also, cold wave and dense fog blanketed parts of the Delhi on Wednesday morning. Low visibility conditions impacted flight operations, causing delays at Delhi airport as well. In Spain, Storm Harry brought torrential rain to northern Catalonia on Tuesday, hitting Girona province hardest, where the Palau-Sator area suffered severe flooding. Catalan firefighters searched for a man reported missing while driving in Palau-Sator, but later suspended the operation due to bad weather. In Girona, the Ornyar River rose dangerously close to the level of nearby homes, though authorities had warned that the water probably wouldn't reach homes. Schools and sporting activities were called off on Tuesday, while Civil Protection advised residents to remain indoors and avoid travel amid flood risk. At Barcelona's beaches, red flags signaled danger as the rough Mediterranean Sea pounded the coast. Well, a heavy dust storm swept across Libya on Tuesday, reducing visibility and forcing the suspension of flights at 2 international airports. The eastern city of Benghazi was seen covering with a dense orange haze as the area was more severely affected by the storm. Flights at Tripoli's Mitika and Benghazi's Benina airports were temporarily suspended due to bad weather conditions. Earlier in 2023, floods triggered by a powerful Mediterranean storm killed thousands in Derna after dams burst and large parts of the city were destroyed. All right, and a big news coming in. NASA astronaut Sunita Williams has retired from the space agency, capping a stellar 27-year career during which she completed 3 missions aboard the International Space Station and set various human space flight records as well. In fact, Williams, 60, is currently visiting India. On Tuesday afternoon, she participated in an interactive session hosted at the American Center. Williams spent over 8 months aboard the ISS and returned to the Earth in March 2025 aboard the SpaceX along with her crewmate, Butch Wilmore. Well, 60-year-old Williams, a former Navy captain, spent more than 27 years at NASA, logging 608 days in space over 3 station missions. And she also set a record for the most space walking time by a woman, 62 hours during 9 excursions. And time now for a short break. We'll be back in a while. All right, so we'll first move on to some business stories now. Netflix shares fell more than 5% on Tuesday as the streaming entertainment giant said it expected revenue to be essentially flat in the current quarter after years of growth. Netflix posted profit of $2.4 billion and revenue of $12 billion in the final 3 months of last year, and forecast taking in $12.1 billion in revenue this quarter. Shares were down more than 4% to $83.07 in after-market trades. The streaming giant aims to double revenue from its ad business to $3 billion this year. While you're watching DD India News, our time now for some sports news. India's final preparations for the ICC T20 World Cup 2026 begin with a 5-match T20 series against New Zealand, starting with the opening match in Nagpur on Wednesday. After a 2-1 defeat in the ODI series, Team India, led by Suryakumar Yadav, will aim to bounce back in the shortest format. New Zealand arrive with confidence after achieving several firsts over the past year, including a Test series whitewash and their first ever bilateral ODI series win in India. Now the visitors will look to script another milestone in T20 cricket as well. And for more update on the match, we are joined by correspondent Narayan Singh. Well, Narayan, how is the Indian team preparing differently for the T20 series after this recent ODI series defeat against New Zealand?
Well, Lipakshi, if we talk about this New Zealand team, always it has been a bogey team for the India. And if you take a look over the span of over a year, first they defeated India for the very first time in the Test series last year. And after that, recently in the previous series, we saw in the one day also they defeated India for the very first time in India. And now it's time to crack the T20 format. And we know that this New Zealand team always has something up their sleeves for this Indian team. And this time around, what they will bring, it remains to be seen. If we take a look their side, it is fantastic. Now it's a full strength side. If you take a look in the previous ODI series, they have their inexperienced team, but this time around, Mitchell Santner, their captain, is back, and many key players who have been rested for this T20 series because it's the build-up towards the ODI T20 World Cup that will took place in India and Sri Lanka from 7th of February. So it's looking a very well-oiled unit. Talking about the New Zealand, Glenn Phillips is there. Also, the tormentor-in-chief for the Indian team in the ODI series, Daryl Mitchell, who scored back-to-back centuries. So all in all, they are looking fantastic. At the top of the order, they had Tim Robinson, who has scored his maiden international T20 100 against Australia last year. And at that time, he helped his team from a position of 6 for the loss of 3 wickets to 181. And in the recently concluded home series against West Indies too, Tim has scored a brilliant runs and with a brilliant strike rate of 160. So, but talking about the Indian team, under the leadership of the Suryakumar Yadav, we have seen many players of the Indian squad have been rested for the ODI. So Hardik Pandya is back, Jasprit Bumrah is back, Akshar Patel is back yesterday, and we saw that Suryakumar Yadav has confirmed that in place of the injured Tilak Verma, the player who will replace him will be Ishan Kishan, not the Shreyas Iyer. So there is so today I think there will be a toss-up for the number 8 place, whether Shivam Dubey, who is the batting all-rounder, will be there, or the Harshit Rana, the bowling all-rounder, will be there. It remains to be seen. But overall, it's an opportunity for both the teams to fine-tune their squad before the T20 World Cup next month. So talking about the Indian side, I think definitely they have the firepower. And talking about the India's record after the T20 World Cup that took place in 2024 in Caribbean, India won that World Cup. India have won 8 consecutive bilateral series, and that span of time, India's win-loss record is of 29 against 5 losses. And it's a great record, hoping that India will continue that momentum.
Of course, India has the firepower,
World Cup.
And we hope to see. Thank you so much, Narayan, for all that update. And in the Women's Premier League, Delhi Capitals get their campaign back on track with a comprehensive 7-wicket win over two-time champions Mumbai Indians. Chasing 155, DC started on a blistering note as openers Shefali Verma and Lizel Lee slammed a flurry of boundaries. Delhi's captain Jemima Rodrigues stabilized the innings after both openers got dismissed within the span of 3 overs. Jemima reached her well-deserved 50, guiding her team close to the finish line. In the end, Marizan Kaab finished the game in style with a towering 6. With this win, Delhi are placed at 4th position, having won 2 games out of 5 so far. Meanwhile, Mumbai suffered their 3rd consecutive defeat but remained in 2nd place due to positive net run rate. And the stage is set for day 2 of the Khelo India Winter Games in Leh Ladakh. Figure skating, an Olympic sport making its debut at this edition of the Khelo India Winter Games, will headline the 2nd day of competition at the NDS Stadium. Alongside this, group matches in men's and women's ice hockey will be played throughout the day. Earlier on Tuesday, the Khelo India Winter Games were inaugurated with a grand opening ceremony against the breathtaking backdrop of Leh. Defending champions Ladakh women and the army men made emphatic starts in the ice hockey competition, while fancy teams ITBP and Himachal Pradesh also registered victories in their respective matches. This is the 3rd time the Union Territory of Ladakh is hosting the Khelo India Winter Games, and the snow leg of the games will be held later this year in Gulmarg, Jammu and Kashmir. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.